Hey guys, remember the Tron Guy? No? He was super famous back in the dark ages of the internet, like before anyone even knew cats existed. He got famous because he dressed up like a person from the movie Tron. If the movie Tron was full of not beautiful actors, but instead giant losers in ill fitting leotards. He didn't seem to mind looking like a giant loser, which really spoke to the giant loser in all of us who just want to be accepted for the way we are, which is giant losers, all of us. So that was nice, and he got internet famous, and then he tried to get real life famous by appearing on television shows like Tosh.0 and America's Got Talent. No one is really sure what his talent is, but it seemed to be explaining that he's the Tron Guy to a large, baffled, and mildly antagonistic crowd. And then he disappeared, as he should, leaving us all with the delightful memory of a giant loser who captured our love and short attention spans for a few days. Unfortunately, he's come back to haunt us in the worst possible way by writing a Medium post about how oppressed he is because a nerd convention cares about other people other than white men. Make PenguinCon Great Again is truly a masterpiece of mangry whining. PenguinCon is an annual con held near Detroit, Michigan, and it's the first place where Tron Guy, aka Jay Maynard, dressed up like Tron Guy. And apparently he's been attending and loving the conference ever since. But in recent years, he writes that he's been disturbed to see the con capitulate to the evil social justice warriors, destroying his otherwise positive experience of the con. So what has PenguinCon done to ruin Tron Guy's life, you ask? Let's break it down. Number one, they invited science fiction authors Charlie Jane Anders and Annalee Newitz as two of their 12 guests of honor back in 2015. I'm not sure exactly what his issue with them is, but I guess they're women. I looked up the schedule, and the panels that they were on included story structure, what is it, and can it make your writing zoom, and how to turn imposter syndrome into a superpower. Horrible. He also complains about politically correct panels. Of the 100 or so panels that were on the 2015 schedule, here are all of the ones that I identified as being SJW-ish. Gender inclusion in physical activities, how to survive in the corporate world when you're different, two LGBT panels, watching TV that looks like me, war on cooties, bringing nerd men and women to the same game board, and finally, Gamergate, what have we learned? I assume Tron Guy was forced to attend these panels at gunpoint. I also assume that he wasn't armed, despite his stated interest in the two panels they had about geeks with guns. There were no panels about feminism, for the record. Number three, the con put up posters encouraging consent. Tron Guy doesn't go into detail about his problems with this, but since no one is forced to look at posters even at gunpoint, I can only assume that he was afraid that other people would see the posters and get it into their heads that they deserve respect. In Tron world, there is no consent because if a girl says no, then you can just reprogram her to say yes. Therefore, these posters impinge upon Tron Guy's right to touch other people without their permission. And finally, Tron Guy's last complaint possibly is the most damning. The con tried to arrange to have one unisex bathroom at the event, but they weren't able to. Geez, is there anything more hurtful, more marginalizing for a man who just wants to pee and poop in the presence of other men than for there to be a single optional bathroom for people of all genders to use? And for that bathroom to not actually exist in the end? Just knowing that a bathroom like that could have existed somewhere, even though it doesn't, is incredibly triggering for Tron Guy and obviously ruined his safe space. Poor Tron Guy was able to speak to the con board about his concerns, but in 2016 he points out that they only accepted one of his panel suggestions. He doesn't say which one it was, so I looked on the schedule, and he was on 2 panels, so it was one of these. Let's see, the first is Where Did the Heroes Go? And the second is, Erotica in Speculative Fiction. That's strange. You'd think that a person who wanted to be on a panel about erotica in speculative fiction would be in favor of more diverse and sex-positive topics. I found that very odd, so I went to Tron Guy's website, and I found that he himself is actually much more diverse than you would expect. It turns out that Tron Guy is actually a female furry named Sheila, aka Splut Warner, apparently related to the famous Warners of Animaniacs. According to Tron Guy's furry code, she will hug anyone she knows, which may explain the objection to posters about consent, and she's ready, willing, and able to have sex. And according to the same code, her human form is a male, Tron Guy, who has had, and I quote, real live sex. It actually says that exactly, real live sex. Tron Guy has had it. The links Tron Guy includes have expired, but thanks to Internet Archive, we can see what Sheila looks like in her true fursona. It looks like there's definite overlap with her human form, at least when it comes to love of leotards. Oh, and also sometimes Sheila is a centaur. Did I mention that? No? Sometimes she's a centaur. Now, I'm not pointing out all of this to kink shame or fur shame. If you're an obese 60-year-old man who thinks that he's actually a small female cartoon character, that's totally up to you. But it's strange that I don't see Tron Guy complaining about the panel on furries that was at PenguinCon in 2016. So why is he complaining about the one panel that addressed transgender people? Is it because being transgender is a ridiculous, politically correct, social justice virtue signaling freak show, but being a small female monkey centaur trapped in the body of a fat old man dressed in a leotard is just the way things should be? So sure, let's make PenguinCon great again. Let's only invite actual penguins or people who think they're penguins, just like the old days.